which side of the tabernacle it's positioned. They used to erase what they wrote, and onward and onward. And this is the 39 categories of work activity which is forbidden on Shabbos. This is the pasuk. This parsha is also the parsha which is the source of why we eat cholent on Shabbos. The big mitzvah of eating chamin or cholent on Shabbos is based on verse number 3. What does the verse say? Lo tevaru esh, you shall not kindle a fire in all your dwellings on Shabbos. And here was a famous dispute between the traditionalists and the Sadducees. Those who only believed in the written word. Because if you read the word literally, what does the Torah say? No kindling a fire in your house of Shabbos. If it's cold outside, you put on 10 sweaters, but you can't have the heat working. And if it comes to food, you only eat tuna and sardines and who knows what, because the Torah says no fire. And if it's dark, you have to sit in the darkness because no fire. What does the tradition teach us? What does the Torah Sheba'al Peh teach us? That you cannot kindle a fire on Shabbos, true, but you're 100% allowed to kindle a fire from before Shabbos. It should continue lighting into Shabbos and provide you with heat, with hot food, with electricity, anything which you need, as long as it's not on Shabbos itself, it's kosher 100%. That was one of the famous examples of the dispute between those who only accepted the written law and did not want to follow the tradition, and those who follow the word of the sages. And in that case, tradition created the following. Are you with us? Are you with them? Are you going to eat hot food on Shabbos or not? If you don't eat hot food on Shabbos, you make a statement. I don't believe in having something fire on Shabbos. I don't believe in the rabbis. I only believe in the written word. And that's why I'm eating cold. So the sages instituted to make sure that we express our faith and our belief in tradition. So we do leave food on the fire from before Shabbos. So tomorrow it's still warm and hot, and you eat it hot food on Shabbos. Usually if you leave food on the stove from the night before till the next day, especially when you finish davening Chabad style, 12 o'clock, 12:30, so what does the food end up to be? Cholent. That's the secret of cholent. That's it. And that's why it's so important to eat cholent, to show that you believe in the words of the sages. I'm eating something hot. So someone told me that cholent is dangerous for him. Something with the stomach, right? So I told them, I looked it up, and it said that a hot cup of tea is also fulfilling the mitzvah. Thank God. As long as you show that you're eating something warm. But I know that they say that I heard that the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe once told to the person who delivered this food or put the food on the table, and he gave him a plate full of cholent. After he finished eating it, he says, I want to tell you that you caused me a lot of anguish, because cholent, whatever cholent you're being served, you have to finish. And it was too much for me. Why he says you have to finish? I guess it goes in the same idea, that the reason that we eat cholent is to express that we are believing in Torah Sheba'al Peh and our tradition. So you want to make sure that there's no questions or no challenges. You, Jerry, Jews eat cholent. No leaving the Kiddush after the first course.
Rabbi, I had a question on the warming of the food on Shabbat.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I heard somewhere that there is a difference between warming up dry food and wet food.
You talking about warming food or cooking food?
No, warming.
Oh, that's
So
true.
what is the halacha?
The halacha is that dry food, which is dry, can be put on a blech in order to get rewarmed.
Like a hard-boiled egg?
I don't know if it's dry, but a dry piece of kugel or a dry piece of schnitzel, you can put on a blech, not on the fire itself, and have it warmed on Shabbat. Or a challah. Let's say you want to warm up your challah for Shabbos. It's 100% kosher to take a baked challah and put it on a blech or on a pat. How do you think we end up with warm challah over here every Shabbos? And that's kosher, but you cannot take a soup and rewarm it on Shabbos, because a soup somehow has to do is like it's like another reboil and so on, but dry only gets warm, not enhance the cooking and so on.
But
Yes.
I heard there was a way to get around it.
The what?
A way to get around it.
Around what?
Get around the warming the soup is to put it on before the plata comes on, which is sometime on a timer. Before it comes on, you can put it on top and
Only
then
for Spalding.
only for Sparadim is allowed? Okay.
I asked.
So now you are Sephardi.
By marriage.
By the wife.
By marriage.
No.
By the husband.
There is a way around that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Interesting also that the Torah uses a term, Sheshet Yamim Te'aseh Melacha. In Hebrew, there's a difference between Ta'aseh and Te'aseh. Ta'aseh means you shall do. Te'aseh means work shall be done. A different how much of effort you're putting into the work. Are you completely involved in it, or you allow the work to be done? I heard there was a Hasidic Jew in Israel, I know his name even, Meshal Perovich, a Hasidic Jew who came from Russia. In those days, maybe today too, I don't know, there was a big company in Israel which employed many Jews, gave them the ability to earn some money, but a company called Solel Boneh. What is Solel Boneh? They were paving the roads and developing the construction of Israel in the 50s, in the 60s. Does it still exist, Solel Boneh? No.
No, no way.
Even in my case, I remember Chevrat Solel Bonepo, they used to have stop signs, you know. Solel Boneh was a famous company. I think they even had construction outside of Israel.
Yeah, they developed in
Hong Kong, maybe. Huh?
In Iran.
Iran. Yeah. Solel Boneh was a famous. Kaduri family? No. There was a family was owning it. There was a famous company. So I heard about this Jew, this Chassid who came to Israel, and he was a real Hasidic Jew. He was actually a rabbi in his own hometown in Russia, but you needed parnasa. You needed to sustain your family. You do what it takes. So he was working, paving a road. You can imagine in the heat of Israel, standing and breaking and shoveling, racks and paving roads. But that's what people did. And then finally, he found favor in the eyes of his director, of his manager, and he gave him a promotion. What's the promotion? He gave him work in the office. So instead of sitting outside and standing on the road and shuffling dirt and rocks, now you can sit in an office. I don't know if it was an air-conditioned office or an unair-conditioned office, but it's definitely much easier and much more comfortable than being, working on the road, especially not only physically, but also for his personality and the type of person he was. Goes by a couple of weeks, and this Rabbi Alperovich comes to his manager and he says, I want to go back. I want to go back to the road work. Look, Samson, sugar. Who? Everybody's fighting to get a job in the office. And here, you were promoted. Why do you want to go back there? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Rabbi Alperovitch said to this manager, listen, as long as I was working on the road, how difficult it was, but only my hands were occupied with the job. In my head, I was able to meditate and reflect on some Torah insights, something I learned the night before, and use it, freely in the areas that I want my head to be occupied. He set me down in the office. Now I have office work. For office work, I got to use my Kapala also. Now I got to use my head too, so I should be completely involved in my work. No, that's I'm not interested. I'm doing my job because I need to earn money for my family. I would rather stand there, keep my head free, than being in the office and having my head occupied too. The truth is, this is a verse in Tehillim. David HaMelech says, "Yegi'a kapecha ki tochel, ashrecha v'tov lach." This is one of the verses which they motivate, the working Gemeinde, the working ring, the Albert ring, right? The working people that King David praises the one who works with his palms. Yegi'a kapecha, ashrecha. King David says, you're praised. You're not a parasite. You are being supported by your work. It's great. But there is one diuk, there's an emphasis in that verse. What does the verse say? Yegia kapecha ki tochel. What is the labor that you are praised for? Is the labor that you eat from the work of your palms. The cup, the head, to be above the water. The head has to be above the water. I understand there are certain jobs which takes you head fully. No, so then you have to figure it out. To make sometimes during the day that you take a break from it, and you put your head in that which is maybe more important. But this is the meaning of the verse. Sheshet yamim te'aseh melacha. Work should be done, not that we should work. So either way, Moshe is giving them the first instructions, and then he goes on and he says, guys, we're going to build a Mishkan. But in order to make the Mishkan happening, we need you all to contribute towards it, and God is giving you the opportunity to be a part of it, and he tells them what we need. What happens a minute later? Turn to the next page on verse 20. Verse 21. ויבואו כל איש אשר נשאו ליבו וכל אשר נדבה רוחו אותו הביאו את תרומת השם למלאכת אוהל מועד. The men came with a woman. Everybody came whose heart inspired them, and they were all bringing their contributions towards the work of the oil moed. And there's a list what they brought. The men brought, and the women brought, and they bought wool, and they bought wood, and so on. And then, after bringing everything, they're also appointing an architect, a construction fellow who is in charge. His name is Bezalel. And suddenly, something happened which never ever happened before or after. What happened? A miracle. A miracle. What's the miracle? Look on page 520, verse 4. A miracle. One of the biggest miracles. Anybody knows the miracle? It's called the miracle of fundraising. What's the miracle on verse 4? ויבואו כל החכמים העושים את כל מלאכת הקודש, איש איש ממלאכתו אשר המה עושים. All the wise people came, thus performing all the sacred work. And they all came. ויאמרו אל משה, and they said to Moshe, big problem, יש בעיה. בעיה רצינית. What's the serious problem? מרבים העם להביא מדי העבודה למלאכה. אשר ציווה השם. They bring and bring and bring contributions. There's too much. The bank doesn't take so much money. We can't take it all. Too much gold. Are you calling it a miracle? Anyone who was involved on any level of fundraising project will call it a miracle. I don't think you ever saw an organization coming and say, putting out a sign, guys, please, no more contributions. לא רוצים יותר. The bank is saying that mi'alodit. They're overflowing, they can't handle it. You ever saw an organization like that? You ever read historically about a synagogue was being built or another holy purpose, they're collecting money and they come out and say, guys, no, we can't. Don't give me, can't. I actually saw. I didn't see it in front of my eyes. I saw the chapter after it. I came to South Africa to teach in 1991. They promised me a salary, not a big salary. I was a young student, 20 years old. I'm going to teach, but they promised me food. Came there, it was garnished. There was no money. The old yeshiva in the morning was given just bread and margarine, nothing else. And thank God to a few laymen who came and brought us food for Shabbos. Don't ask. It was physical-wise, it was a disaster. Spiritually, it was an amazing experience, but there was nothing. What happened? Not sure what happened, but the rand is the South African currency. Somehow fell very badly. I don't know, you can maybe look up in Google what happened in 1990, 91. I don't know. I don't know the financing.
It was before the elections.
Ever before the election. When I left, that day was the vote, yes or no for the apartheid, no apartheid.
One man, one vote.
Yeah, signs in front of every house. Exactly. You were there then?
I came right before and then I came back.
I see. So there was something happened to the Rand. It was very bad, and there was really the yeshiva didn't have any money. But you walked into the Bet Midrash. I'm talking about yeshiva students. I'm not talking about Safra synagogue in São Paulo, Brazil. These are yeshiva students. The chairs, all of the chairs were made out of leather. Leather chairs. Whoever saw a yeshiva student on a leather chair? Sit on benches. Leather chairs. Beautiful building. And then I heard even more. I was always wondering, because I studied in the earlier years, I was in Jerusalem. And the director of the yeshiva used to go to South Africa always to raise money. And I never understood what is the connection between him and South Africa. Why is this his route? Like, who does he have there? When I came to South Africa, I learned that one of the rabbis there came once to the Rebbe, VAJAKEL Rebbe, and he says, Rebbe, yeah, but a lot of money. We already did leather chairs for the yeshiva. I mean, we have nothing else to spend it on. Does the Rebbe have any idea what should we do with the extra? And apparently the Rebbe suggested them to support the yeshivas in Jerusalem. That's how the connection became. When I came, we were garnished. There was nothing. There was nice chairs, but no food. So this is like, it was like a story. Like a yeshiva institution, an educational institution had extra, and they had to actually acquire, because they were sincere, they acquired by the Rebbe advised what to do with that extra. Something with dollars, investing, and things were doing very well at some point in the 80s, don't ask me. But here there's a miracle. No, what's the response to the great miracle? Let's make a party. They came to Moshe and they said, Moshe, it's too much. So Moshe says, verse 6, Vayitzav Moshe commanded, and he gave out a declaration in the camp, Ish ve'isha al yasu od melacha litrumat hakodesh. No more. Stop the contributions. לא רוצים יותר. ויקולה אור מאביו. And the people stopped bringing. ויקולה אור מאביו. And they start bringing. Question. Why don't we see that miracle repeat itself, Taka? Why can no one recall a time in history there's so many calls for help, for all kinds of purposes? Why is it so difficult to come and have people come and line up and say, here, take? What happened then and what happened now? Usually history repeats itself, right? How come that part of history does not repeat itself?
We became spoiled.
We became what?
Lupulakim
Who became spoiled?
people.
And therefore,
They get used to a lifestyle, so they don't want to give as much.
what happened then?
They didn't have a lifestyle yet.
Okay. An interesting answer. Very nice, Liz. Nice. What do you think, Jerry?
I think there was
Well, it
a
wasn't
curse.
their stuff they'd taken from the Egyptians.
Well, he says even more. They didn't use theirs, that they gave away from the Egyptians. They didn't earn anything at that point. It's easier to give away someone else's money than the money you worked for. Okay, what do you say?
I think there was a curse on,
Curse!
yes,
On who?
on some mistake that Yaakov did, and because of that, there was like a curse that, there will be Torah, but never enough money for Torah until Mashiach will come.
I don't know, but Torah in general, there's a curse that Yaakov told Issachar, the teachers. The teachers are not going to have, that was one thing which is in Parshat Vayechi, so he did allude to the,
Connected also to Shevet Levi, that,
right, by Levi actually might say, not by Issachar. It says that they are going to run around and not have, teachers are not going to be, a teacher is never going to be rich.
yes,
Is it Lola Chacham Lech?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. The teachers are not going to make money too much. Say that. What? Oh, Rashi brings it in Parshat Vayechi. When it comes to Levi, the verse says, "Achalkem beYaakov," I will disperse them within Jacob. So Rashi says, what does it mean disperse them? So one explanation is because Levi doesn't always count. Levi doesn't always end up being counted in the counting of the tribe. Like we have a census of all the tribes and they are separated in a sense.
Different age group also.
Different age group also, that's right. Another explanation Rashi brings that the Levites have to constantly be dispersed. What does that mean? Because they are teachers. No, Rashi says there that the Shimonites are poor because they are teachers and scribes. And Levi is also constantly looking and running around to get his truma. The food for the Levi is being given from which the owners, provide them. So basically, they don't have it easy. But yes, Shimon was like, but I don't know if it's Torah in general. It has to be something here. I'm looking for a positive explanation, by the way.
Go for it.
Good luck.
I think it's Pashat. I think it's Pashat. I think there's a simple insight here. Pashut. We have to go back for a moment and to understand the context of the Mishkan. The Mishkan was not only that suddenly God declared himself as homeless and he says, okay, I want to have a home. What did you do 2,000 years still now? Were you okay? You had to leave? Suddenly he says, Vasuli Mikdash, make me a sanctuary. I'm sorry, I feel like I need a home. I want to also settle, fulfill the American dream, have my own home. No, that wasn't the reason. The Mishkan was a response to the scene of the golden calf, as we said before. The golden calf was a moment, a very difficult moment, as we read last week, and the moment called for, God forbid, detachment, separation. We are becoming isolated from God, and God is looking to not to associate with us. You remember last week what happened by the Egel? He said, I want to get rid of them. I'm not interested. I'm going to create a whole new phenomenon. That's it. I'm over. I don't want to do with them anymore. And thanks to Moshe, we had the right leader on the right time. Got up there and put his foot down and he says, no, you have to forgive them and you have to forgive them. I'm not rushing to forgive them. And he used every reason in the book, all the way to the point, by telling God last week, how are you going to appear in the eyes of Egypt when they're going to find out that you killed your people? In other words, it's not anymore about the people. It's a point now that he is turning to God as if to say, you're going to get yourself a bad name in the New York Times, in the papers, they're going to write bad about you. He tried every which way to persuade God to forgive them. Like we saw last week, put himself on the floor, right? Put himself, he was actually literally lying on the floor, banging his feet and his hand, and saying like a child, you ever see them lying on the floor and clapping and flapping in every direction. I want. And he was successful. He succeeded in his plea. God agreed with him, finally. You can imagine what the people felt during that time? How desperate they were to hear the word Salachti Kidvarecha. Their life was hanging on a thread. They knew that this is all over. Not spiritually, physically, it's over. You can imagine how did they say, how the kishkas turned, not knowing the result. This is 40 days. And now Moshe is coming up to the mountain and they are desperate. What's going to be? How's it going to look? And it comes down with the second luchas. What does it tell them? Guys, I have good news and I have even better news. The good news is I have a second set of tablets. But not only that, God wants a sanctuary. And you know what was the first words that God used when he said, I want a sanctuary? In Parshas Truma. What did God say? Ve'asuli migdash. Make me a sanctuary. And what's going to happen then? Ve'shachanti betocham. I'm going to dwell amongst them. I'm ready to make myself comfortable, available in your midst, betocham. You can imagine what kind of outbreak of joy and excitement and enthusiasm that opportunity of God ready to have a home, which into that home is going to dwell among us. And not only that, God, who's in charge, who owns everything, could have said, I'm going to make myself at home. He says, no, I want you to make me home. He's giving us the opportunity to partner, to be, what do you call it, homeowners, home associates. We are owning his house. We are giving the money. We are the one, what is that?
Homeowners association.
Homeowners association, right? We are the ones who are giving the money for it. We are the ones who are contributing for it. And becoming, and God is becoming one with us, a part of our reality. No wonder there was such an overwhelmed response. Because that request for a home was the biggest statement that I forgive you. Yes, it's very easy when, God forbid, two people get apart and they ask for forgiveness and you get a note from your fellow who you broke apart with to say, okay, I'm ready to forgive you. And where are you now? Oh, now. I moved out, who knows where. I'm in Africa. South Africa. Today, this afternoon, somebody told me he had big issues with his daughter. She's not a young girl anymore. She's an elderly daughter. And she left them and she moved to Italy.
Mhm.
No, not for touring. She forgave him for whatever issues they had in the relationship, but the response to the forgiveness is, I forgive you, but not only I can't live with you or next to you, I gotta move to a different country in Europe. Because this is as far as I need to stay away from you in order to preserve that forgiveness. Somebody told me today. And imagine here, God says, not only I forgive you, and I'm moving into your house now. I'm moving into you. You moving in with me, and I'm moving in with you. And not only are we moving into each other's life, we are building a new home just for us. I ask you one thing. I want to see you interested in my coming home. Participate in it. Be a part of it. What happens? Ooh-ah. Ooh-ah. Everybody's running and giving and contributing. And Moshe has to come and says, Taka, it's too much. That's enough. And at that point is when they stop. When we're building something, when we are being convinced to be a part of something, usually we understand the virtue of tzedakah. Sometimes it is very difficult. I remember visiting once a yid, which you can call him a Baal tzedakah, a yid which is involved in, today they call it philanthropy. But he gave a lot of his money away to tzedakah. And when I was visiting him in California, Los Angeles, and he tells me, I came, there was people coming one after another. He had a Wednesday night, he meets people. I think maybe it's still going on. People come and they share their need. So I was collecting money for them to build the shul. I came in, I remember where he told me, I can't anymore. My head, he said in Yiddish, my cup platzt. My head is exploding. I said, exploding from what? Because there's so much tsuras The guy just walked out. There's so much pain. The guy just walked out. Told me about different surgeries his wife needs to go through, and I hear the stories from time, from week by week. I can't take it anymore. Meaning that he was physically affected, and that encouraged them also to give. Meaning he gave sometimes because he just couldn't see the pain of someone naturally, right? Natural response if you can help. But then, what happens if you got used to listen to tzaras? It doesn't affect you anymore. No, nachamais. Another story. Right? You're becoming dual. You're becoming.
Your heart hardens.
Your heart hardens. That's what the Torah tells us by tzedakah. Ve'al yera levavcha betitcho lo. So usually it means you shouldn't give it with a heavy heart, but it also means you shouldn't give it with a heart which is hardened. Meaning you shouldn't give it because I feel bad for you. Because if you give it because you feel bad for me, tomorrow you might not feel bad anymore. You're going to become desensitized. That's the word in English.
Yes.
And when you give it, you become desensitized, and then this. I heard already 20 stories like this. Sorry, that's not exciting enough. There's always limitations which come up and prevent us to do it the way we should do it. The Torah over here teaches us what is the secret of that miracle, what happened by the Mishkan. If somebody is able to understand that it's for him the greatest privilege to be a part in something accomplishing as great of an accomplishment of having the sin of the golden calf forgiven, God living amongst you, I'm sure that miracle would have repeated itself. They were building a shul after the shul was burned down in the 90s in Marina Rocha in Moscow. The neighborhood called Marina Rocha. And they had a small shul for many years. This used to be one of the shuls which was remained open even during communist era. And that was the shul that also the Chabad activities in Russia went toward from that shul. But then the shul got burned down. There was a fire, it was burned down. This is in the 90s. 1990 something. Maybe 1998, I don't remember, there was a fire. I heard from Rabbi Lazar, the rabbi of the Marina Russia synagogue, today is also the chief rabbi of Russia, that when the shul burned down, there were Russian Jews, elderly Jews, who came with little boxes which had like ichveis, like broken pieces of of an old watch, of I have a hearing of the Baba, and things that you keep that value, things which have value, valuables, but not valuables, you beautiful diamonds. Valuables that they found or that was left from a grandmother, from a grandfather, from a neighbor, from a child. Rabbi Lazar said, you wouldn't believe there were Jews that were standing there with those boxes in their hand. They said, Rebbe, please take it from us. Let us be a part of rebuilding this shul which now burned down. Thank God they were building a beautiful center. I was there a number of times. It's like 7 floors, kitchens, dining rooms. People are being offered food day and night and shuls, and there's even a gym in that building. But people were standing with their little boxes, which they kept forever, collections of valuables, saying, Rebbe, tikach. You had to tell them, no, it's okay, we don't need Baruch Hashem, this guy is giving. Where did it come from? It because for them, that was their life. That was like the biggest, greatest, ultimate achievement is the home. The home for them, the home for the community, the home for God. This is what they felt. And when that was burned down, their whole life was burned down. And if we can build that in whatever I have, I make it happen. For the Jews after the golden calf, their life was over. Physically, spiritually, it was all gone. So no wonder that such a miracle occurs, that they are coming and giving, not because it was someone else's money. I'm sorry, Mr. Jerry. I don't know whose money you have, but they say that people who have even other people's money, once they have it, even that they don't want to give away. Can't tell you for sure. I was never tested, but I'm somehow something tells me to believe it. True or not? Huh? Maskim? Oh, maskim. Who gives away? You have to believe. So Baruch Hashem, thank God, we live in a world not to something not to just to make light of it. We live in a world. There's really a world. A lot of tzedakah is being given. I don't need more than our own little community here. People are always giving and helping and supporting each other in so many ways. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. And America is a society of chesed, of giving. People give. Companies give. It's almost a competition who can give. It's almost people are competing. But at the same time, you see a lot of poverty. And teachers are not being paid. And schools are going, I guess the need is growing accordingly. I don't know. I'm not good in
They give tzedakah, but they don't pay their taxes.
I don't know.
I'm telling
Weiß nicht. I don't know those cheshbenes. I was just going to say, I don't know the calculations how it works. I know that a lot of tzedakah, somehow there's a lot of money getting to taxes too. David, is the money getting collected by the IRS? You are working now for the IRS.
45 of them today,
Huh?
46 people today.
46 people pay taxes today. You see that?
No,
46
we're talking
people
about
pay
the
taxes.
Corporations, not the regular people.
What? What?
46 that are.
He filed 46 claims, tax returns. Who made money from that? The person made money or the IRS made money?
The IRS always makes,
You see? So what are you saying?
almost always, I'll rephrase that. The poor get money sometimes.
Okay. Bottom line is there's a lot of chesed. A lot of chesed. A lot of charity, a lot of tzedakah. What do you need more than that? Bill Gates gave his money to tzedakah. Maybe it's not to the tzedakah that you think is the most important. I don't mean you. People think, everyone has his priorities.
הוא לא משלם את המכס, אני מבטיח לך.
Oh, sure. He said in English he doesn't pay his taxes. I don't know. I'm not in the IRS, I can't tell you.
פגשתי אותו.
Huh?
פגשתי אותו.
Speak in English.
No.
Well, Andy
It's a
says.
discrimination.
Why can I meet them? Let me meet them.
That's what the mayor said. She said, why didn't you tell him I want to meet him?
Where did you meet them? How do you meet them? I want to talk to them. I have to tell them.
זה לא מעניין בכלל.
Sure. I want them to think that there is also other causes besides malaria and fixing water. It's a big cause, but anyway, who else gave away his money recently? Not Buffett. Buffett? No.
He was the one.
Huh?
He took the way the money.
Pesos, Jeff Bezos,
Oh, what did he do?
2
Yeah,
billion.
he doesn't.
2 billion
Yes.
for basis from Amazon.
Amazon,
Yeah.
yes.
Who did he give it
From
to?
Seattle.
All kind of,
So how come they're still homeless in Seattle?
Because they
Oh, yeah,
moved
don't
here.
talk about homeless. Ask me, I can tell you more about homeless.
What do you mean don't talk about homeless? I don't understand. Can someone explain me? There is a guy in Seattle Okay, time to close the camera. Thank you. Let me ask a question before you leave. I'm sorry. Let's have a minute conversation over here. If anyone can explain it, there's a guy like Bezos who gave how much? 2
2 billion.
billion for charity in Seattle.